Greetings and welcome to this week's True Sidereal Astrological Weather Report, also known as alchemical astronomy, the only astrology where we're looking at the actual positions of the luminaries as they are in the visible sky, moving through the constellations known as the zodiac. This is how astrology is meant to function. Tropical or Western astrology is not that, it is a symbolic construct. So, if you're here to learn how to harness the authentic energies of the luminaries as they move through the sky, stay tuned. So, pretty quiet week in the sky this week, which is great because I am burnt out. Last week fried me with the solar activity and that irregularity with the Schumann resonance paired with a new moon. And I am a human with a menstrual cycle that correlates with that. So I am just coming out of a nonverbal state that I've been in the last couple of days. So I'm pleased to share with you that this is going to be a shorter forecast because there's not a lot of aspects going on. So that's great because it'll take me way less time to edit it. But let's do our run through as far as where the planets are on the line of the ecliptic. If you're new here, this is an astronomical star charting app. The yellow dotted line that you're seeing here is called the line of the ecliptic. This is the path that all the luminaries in our solar system follow. Okay, so this is what I mean by this is how astrology is meant to function. The system that the mainstream uses is based off of calculations and mathematics and software that charts the movements of the luminaries based on imaginary lines in the sky that they've decided are each of the zodiac signs, versus we're actually looking at what signs are where in real time. Okay, so in real time right now, the sun is in Aquarius. Okay, now it is getting cuspy. Okay, so you can see it's pretty close to Pisces. We will be entering Pisces soon. We do have a shit ton of energy in Pisces. So if you've been tuning into the content that I've been making recently, last week, I've been talking a lot about this Piscean energy. Eclipse season we are getting into. We are in the lunar cycle that will be like the full moon that's coming up next week will be a lunar eclipse. So that's kicking off eclipse season. And so Pisces is the highlight of this, right? So Pisces is the zodiac sign, the constellation that is rising on the eastern horizon at the spring equinox. As you can see, currently it is rising on the horizon because I'm filming this just after sunrise in Canada. So it's a little bit later in the day than maybe other places. So in Pisces, we have Saturn, which is new to the group. It has been in Aquarius for some time. So Saturn, the planet of rules, regulations, responsibility. Saturn is like the dad of the zodiac. So this is really bringing this energy of taking your spirituality seriously into the equation. Okay, so like being devoted over disciplined is kind of idea. Discipline is like an external oppressive energy. Devotion is the same energy, but coming from the inside, from a heart-based place. Okay, so we also have Neptune. Neptune, again, another very slow-moving planet, has been and will be in Pisces for some time. So Neptune is Pisces energy. It is the planet of intangibility, deep, dark spirituality, what's unseen, the void, the feminine receptive energy. So a long period of time making the veil available to us, essentially thinner. Okay. Mercury is new to Pisces. Mercury never gets more than, I think, like 23 degrees away from the sun. So it's got a similar kind of pace. So it is in Pisces currently. Mercury. Issues with my words when I get into this sort of burnout state. But Mercury is the planet of transmission, communication, how we think. It will be going retrograde this month in Pisces as well. So this energy of a pause as far as thinking about our spirituality, thinking about the depths, thinking about what's unseen, thinking about intangibility, right? Which is kind of a conundrum because the brain or thinking is more analytical and logical, since the brain rules our physical world and needs order and linear time in order to function. We also have Venus. We also have Venus in Pisces. So Venus is currently in retrograde. This is probably one of the themes of the week. This will be going on for about 40 days or so. So Venus, the planet of values, the love, like how you love, what you love, relationships, relationships with yourself, relationship with other people, all sorts of relationships, how you relate, how you love, right? What you value. So Venus in retrograde in Pisces is basically really valuing, like a pause as far as your values and your relationships, really reconsidering what you value, who you value, what is bringing depth into your life, how can you receive more, like your relationship to receptivity, and how you can embody more of that Piscean, receptive, feminine, expansive energy, right? And feminine, again, is not gender specific. We all have a masculine and feminine pole within us. It is part of the equation of creation to be more receptive. And our society is entirely contracted, right? Like doing productivity, like your values connected to how much you get done. So all of this energy in Pisces is really highlighting the antithesis of that, right? Like we're moving into a new paradigm where less is more. And in fact, when you do too much, your productivity and your the effects of that suffer, right? So you don't need to do so much in order to be successful. Now, not pictured here because this is astronomical, and astrological interpretations involve more etheric points. So they're not luminaries, but the North Node is the point where the lunar path crosses over the ecliptic. It is currently in Pisces as well. I believe it's actually right where Mercury and Neptune are right now. So we've got this action right here with how we think, our destiny, which is the North Node, and this double whammy of Neptune energy. So things might be feeling a little weird for you right now. Like you might be feeling a little in between dimensions. You might be having some odd metaphysical or transcendental experiences happening. A lot of room for odd occurrences with this kind of energy here. And then further down in Pisces, so kind of where the moon is right now, actually. I should pull the chart up for this, actually. With where the moon is, right on the horizon here. We also have Chiron. Okay, Chiron is the wounded healer. It is an asteroid that pushes on our greatest wounds. So we have that kind of energy with the moon close to that. The moon is our emotions. So how we feel, the moon acts like a magnet, and we're just going to be getting into the first quarter of the moon. We had the new moon last week in Aquarius. So the moon today and tomorrow will be moving out of Pisces and into Aries. Actually, I wonder if it is. Where is Aries? Oh, it is in Aries right now. So it was in Pisces and now it's in Aries. So Chiron's probably somewhere around here. Okay, so here's Aries on the horizon. And then moving down the line of the ecliptic, we've got Uranus and Jupiter, both in Taurus, and will be in Taurus for some time. Taurus, the planet, the sign of our resources, our fixed Earth, right? The physical world. So Jupiter is expansion, and Uranus is the planet of revolution or shaking things up. Both of those planets are going to be there for some time because they're slower moving. And then we've got Mars just moving really full steam now, direct again after a period of retrograde that was from early December until like 2 weeks ago. Takes like a week or two for it to start going the other direction through the sign again. And so it is in Gemini. So we had this long period of kind of a pause as far as how you assert yourself, how you do things. That's what Mars energy is. It's creation energy. It is the self. So now if you've been feeling stuck, especially if Mars is prominent in your chart, or if it was in a sign that it's not comfortable in, then you probably had a period of feeling stuck since December. So now we're going to have some forward movement with Mars in Gemini moving forward. There we have, and then there's not a whole lot going on the rest of the line of the ecliptic, right? Like basically everything is on one side. So you can see here, these are the constellations. This is how it functions. Okay, coming. And this is the other part. If you're new here, this is another thing that differentiates this lens of astrology, not only different sizes of the constellations, but also including Ophiuchus, the 13th zodiac sign. This is right over the galactic center. Okay, so together, Scorpio and Ophiuchus create a death and a rebirth portal in the 8th house. This turns the wheel of Samsara in tropical which is basically never ending suffering. This is why tropical is a limited system, in my opinion. You can get some benefit from it. It does track in a lot of ways because it measures the human psyche and the cyclical seasons on Earth, the movement from light to dark, and there is some correlation with that, but it goes around. It doesn't change every year, right? Whereas there is a greater celestial cycle that is being captured by this lens of astrology. Just finishing up the tour here as well, we can see our friend Pluto, our controversial friend, is just in Capricorn now and will be in Capricorn for like 18 more years. So over the next couple of decades, we're going to have the dismantling of these oppressive, old patriarchal kind of systems. Alrighty, well, let's get into the aspects and transits this week. Like I said, not a lot going on, which I'm super thankful for. We all need a break sometimes. So let's start with the moon. The moon transits this week currently, as you saw through the run through, the moon currently is just in the beginning part of Aries and will be there until like the early part of tomorrow. Aries is a smaller constellation. So the moon in Aries is like really pushing on our feelings about ourselves and asserting ourselves. We might have some more like doing energy. I actually do feel a bit perkier today, coming out of my cocoon over the weekend. So you might feel a little bit of that fiery creation energy today and into tomorrow. Wednesday and into Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday, actually, I should say, probably a bit of Tuesday as well, to be honest with you. It will be in Taurus because Taurus is a huge constellation compared to Aries. So Taurus is the planet, frick, I keep saying planet, the zodiac sign of our resources, the physical world. It is that fixed Earth. This is also when we're going to be coming into the first quarter of the lunar cycle. Okay, so it's 1 week out from the new moon that we had last Thursday or Friday, depending on what part of the world you're in. So this is when we start to see challenges come up as far as the intentions that you set with the new moon last week. And remember that new moon was all about innovation and receptivity because the sun and the moon were in Aquarius. So then basically everything else was in Pisces with a square to Jupiter, which is in Taurus as well, right? So if you want more details on what that moon was like, if you didn't watch it, I did a whole 20-minute video on that, talked a lot about it last week. But essentially it was like futuristic intentions, new earth kind of paradigm, the value of receptivity, the value of the void, doing less equaling more, all of that. So any intentions that you set within that vein this week, by the later in the week, like Wednesday or Thursday, when the moon is in Taurus, we will be having some resistance. You might be feeling some challenges as far as your patience, your stability, your resources. If you have set intentions that are totally different from the current circumstances that you're living in, you might start to see things in your physical world fall apart. Don't be afraid. Tower moments are part of the process. Anything that falls apart is meant to. There's just as much destructive energy in the universe as creative energy. Things must die in order to be reborn. And then Friday and Saturday, the moon will be moving into Gemini, that mutable air, the twins, knowledge, information, seeking both sides, being able to hold different opinions, right? So you might be feeling kind of more flexible in your thought when it comes to the later part of the week. And then we'll be wrapping up the week on Sunday with the moon in Cancer, that cardinal water, the mother, the nurturer, right? So the weekend might be a time, especially on Sunday, to get a little cozy and get into your feels. As for the rest of the week, we really only have a minor sextile. So Mercury's going to be sextiling Pluto. Again, a very minor aspect, but there's not much going on, so we'll report on it this week. So Mercury in Pisces, again, is this idea of thinking about receptivity, thinking beyond the veil, thinking intangibly, thinking outside of the box, communicating in all of these sorts of veins as well. And with that being so close to Neptune and the North Node, these energies of like this double whammy of intangibility and stepping into your destiny, revaluing the receptivity and the importance of that sort of feminine, expansive energy, creation, that kind of vibe. This intercepting or sextiling with Pluto brings a bit more depth to it. So, Pluto in Capricorn, again, is the end of cycles of oppression, that external locus of control. Capricorn is the dad of the zodiac. It is rules, regulations, and structures and limitations. So, Pluto within that context is the ego killer, the cycle bringer, the ender of cycles, right? So, bringing an end to these oppressive externally locus structures that have us hustling, working to live, struggling, having our value connected to our productivity, right? So we'll have access to this supportive kind of energy on Wednesday. So Wednesday would be a day if you're wanting to do anything in depth, deeper conversations, things like that. This energy will be available for you. And then on the weekend, right, basically in between Saturday and Sunday, where I am here in Eastern Standard Time in Canada, we will have a trine with the sun and Mars. Okay, so the sun in like the edge of Aquarius and Mars in Gemini. So we've got that fixed air and that mutable air. So this is basically supportive, harmonious energy when we have a trine. So the sun illuminating these themes of the revolution, of innovation, of freedom, also community, right? Because Aquarius is your individuality within the community and how you being yourself actually benefits the community. And then Mars in Gemini is looking at different ways that we can be ourselves, the way that we can assert ourselves. How can we create something that is based on different opinions? How can we entertain more than one opinion at once? So yeah, that's it for this week, folks. A nice quick one. I will be making a more comprehensive video on Venus retrograde because that energy is going to be affecting us for the next 40-ish days or so. But stay tuned for that. If you like this sort of content, please engage with this video in every way that you can. I love to hear from you guys. So leave me a comment and tell me how these energies are affecting you. And if you're still listening to this, you're an OG. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.